Hey, everybody. Welcome to Talk Wrestling here on the Jeff Meacham Network. And of course, the Twitter account's Jeff_Jeff Meacham. We will be back in our normal across the board time slot and channel slot next week. I was asked to stick to my channel this week because I gave the impression I was going to go off the rails tonight. I'm not going to do that after all. I'm going to be a good little boy. I'm going to mind my P's and Q's, but I did want to still do a show. So we'll go ahead and get her done, as it were. Josh says, good to see you, Jeff. Hope you're doing better. Keep your head up, brother. Appreciate that, Josh. I think it's one of those just a case of the Mondays, to be perfectly honest with you. Had a great weekend up with at my sister's house, hanging with the nieces, doing the family thing, and just came back and just, yeah. So it's one of those days, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Let's see. So and Josh is pumped over Magnet. I'm looking forward to Sunday too. I'll tell you what, we've got James and Noah there kind of hosting that. I'm definitely going to be a part of it. Definitely going to be involved in that. But definitely looking forward to seeing how that. I mean, it was literally just kind of an off the cuff thing we did after the Impact watch along it a couple weeks back. So I'm looking forward to see how it lays out. It's going to be fun. JJ's here. Hey there, hi there, ho there. Welcome. Masketeer number 1. I appreciate that, Jay. Good to see you, brother. Psychojet Buck has several questions, so we'll go ahead and throw them up there real quick before we get into the meat and taters of the show. Better holiday, Easter or St. Patrick's Day? Well, if you talk to the Christian folk, Easter, because he has risen on that day. As a connoisseur of the adult beverages, I'll go with St. Patrick's Day for that reason. Easter tends to be a little bit more of a familial gathering, and I do like that aspect of it. So I'm kind of on the fence, 50-50. I know it's a lame answer, but it's one I got. He also asks, better wrestler, Paul Orndorff or Lex Luger? Paul Orndorff, without question, is the better of those two wrestlers. And honestly, we're going to talk about the Horsemen next November, JJ and I, on one of our dad's episodes. I would have loved to have seen Orndorff be a Horseman. I know that didn't work out because of the injury to his arm, the fact that it atrophied after the long wear and tear, but he'd been a great Horseman. Luger was a Horseman, and there he was. Enigma says, Jeff, would you ever do an autograph signing, kind of like a fan meetup? I would love to do something like that. The trouble with that is a lot of y'all are not in Southern California, and it's expensive to travel anywhere to go to conventions or go to like the WrestleCades or the Accesses or whatever. So it's a pain in the ass financially, but if it ever works out, I would love to be a part of something like that. You know, they do these virtual signings all the time. I'd actually be okay with doing something like that, where you guys send me, whatever, to a PO box and I sign it. Or actually, JJ and I are talking about when we do the Com-Econ in the Inland Empire in February, having 8x10s and things like that to sign and sell or give away, or whatever the case may be. So be on the lookout for that in the coming year after that anniversary show that got plugged at the start of the show. So be looking for that, Enigma. Greg says, glad you're doing all right, brother. Didn't want you to miss how I'm opening Greg Cherry show. Oh no, I would never miss a Greg Cherry show on purpose. This last week was well, here's the one for the night, clusterfuck, as far as scheduling, because we had the Sarah show not go up at all until Thursday. We had your show on Friday, Greg. I was out of town on Friday through Sunday, so it was a mess. Josh says, also, seeing the NWA 10 pounds of gold greatest champs preview, you should try to have Adam Pearce on sometime as a guest. I would love to have Adam. Adam's one of my favorite people I've ever met in wrestling, ever met, period, really. Adam's a great guy. The thing is, you have to go through WWE to look at him personality. Who we love on this channel. People like Sean Ross Sapp, who have all the information. People like Chris Van Vliet interviews all the time, and I'm so happy for him that he does that. It's just difficult to kind of get noticed and get the attention that you want, and not come off like a needy prat, like I tend to do quite a bit. So if I ever get Adam on the show, I will definitely ask him about NWA, because we almost had him on the show at one point. JJ and I did. We actually gave him a ride to his car once after a Hollywood taping. God, that was 4 effing ever ago. Adam's a great guy, great representative as an NWA champion, 5-time champion, 5-time holder of the Sweet Charlotte 10 pounds of gold. Thank you for bringing that up, Josh. I love that as champion. All right. So these are going really. It's going to be one of those connection days. I was doing that earlier, so I apologize if I'm coming off sluggish. It's not my fault. So the original plan for today, before I had my little snit, was these topics right here: a recap of the weekend pay-per-views, which of course was NWA Hard Times 2 and NXT War Games. Royalty by the numbers, and we'll get to Charlotte here in just a short, and of course the infamous Ask Me Anything, which you guys kind of covered that early in the broadcast. But now that we've gone through the questions, you want to deviate off the path. You gotta pony up. There it is. Now it's official. All right. So let's talk about first of all NWA Hard Times 2. Before we get into the wrestling aspect of it, so to speak, although he did get involved wrestling wise later in the show, our buddy Mick Foley made an appearance on NWA Hard Times 2. Very cool to see the connoisseur of the Christmas, if you will, Mick Foley. Always good to see him at any time of year, but especially all decked out in his Santa and flannel. I love Mick. He is one of my main inspirations for the whole Santa Claus, quote unquote, side hustle, if you will, that I do. I've taken a lot of the information that he put in his book, the information I have out of the textbook from Santa Tim, and just kind of applied it to my approach to being a Santa ambassador. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes now that I have more arsenal loaded, more ammo loaded in the arsenal, I should say, for my future presentations. But yeah, it was great to see Mick. You can see Kyle Davis's face how awesome it was to see Mick Foley at a pay-per-view outside WWE. It was really cool to see him at the NWA show. It was awesome. Just a great moment on the show. And he did get involved later when the main event was over and we saw the emergence of somebody. So we'll get to that momentarily. But what an undercard the NWA presented. We had championships from Ring of Honor. We had championships from Impact Wrestling. We had championships from the NWA, of course. Just a great show. We had all the titles on the line there. I mean, there you see it. It was a stacked card. We had both tag team championships, the national heavyweight championship, the beginnings of the junior heavyweight championship tournament, at least on screen, the TV titles on the line, the Impact Women Knockouts World Championship. We're making that clear now. The Ring of Honor Tag Championship, and a great return to the United States from Doug Williams as he faced Colby Carino in a losing effort. Colby won, which was cool to see Colby win. Just a great show. And then, I mean, the main event was very stacked as well. You had the tribute to Jazz. And I got to say, having met Jazz on the Jericho Cruise was so cool to see her get her due. She is one of the greatest female wrestlers of all time. She's definitely one of the baddest bitches of all time. She said that herself on the show Saturday. And I tend to agree with her. She was a bad bitch at karaoke on the cruise too. It was awesome. Great times. Just awesome to see Jazz get her proper respects. Great grudge match, great battle between Nick Aldis and Tom Latimer, the former brothers, if you will. Melina and Camille really danced divinely together for the NWA Women's World Championship. And again, I mentioned Mike Knox being in the main event was a surprise, but he really held his own against Murdoch for the 10 pounds of gold. Of course, Trevor retained. We saw the emergence of Matt Cardona in the NWA, and he held the 10 pounds of gold up as they went off the air the other night. So we will definitely see more of Matt coming up in the future. You got to believe over in the GPP studios in Atlanta. We're going to see that starting tomorrow night, of course, on NWA Power. They have a new show coming out, NWA USA, I guess. So we'll see how that lays out. And then we went to War Games. I mean, NXT went to war once again, as they do at least once a year. Of course, they had 2 matches this year, but the rumor and innuendo, as our buddy Connie would say, is this the last dance for Kyle O'Reilly and Johnny Gargano? We're gonna have to wait and see what happens tomorrow night with Johnny Gargano's status. He has something to say to the NXT universe coming up tomorrow night, based on Kyle O'Reilly's gestures, shall we say, post match after Von Wagner tried to turn on him. We may be seeing him leave for AEW and join up with his former undisputed brethren. So I didn't much like the Survivor Series. I didn't expect much from War Games, and I was pleasantly surprised at how well the show went. Aaron talks about all the time when he does his recaps when I don't do the watch alongs. The show paced very well. They always do. They pace very well. The NXT pay-per-views pace out very, very well. They do a great job of laying them out, step by step, match by match. And I enjoyed watching it live. I enjoyed Aaron's recap of it last night. I enjoyed not having to worry about it. And I know that Noah and the team really enjoy doing the watch-alongs. I'm definitely going to reevaluate how often I do them in 2022. It may end up being I do the WWE Big Four. I think they're counting Money in the Bank as the Big Five now because it's in the stadium. It's in Vegas next year over at Allegiant Stadium. So I might do those, the NWA quarterlies and the AEW quarterlies. I don't want to slight Impact, but we'll see how things play out there. So again, a great weekend of wrestling. I know people are kind of crapping on the NXT 2.0 products, and to an extent, rightfully so, but I enjoyed the presentation on Sunday. I did. I enjoyed the show, start to finish. Before we go to break, I'm going to go ahead and get to the comments I missed. Walter says, when I get back to Cali, Jeff, I would meet up with you at a Hooters or something. We can chat, maybe stream something together. It would be fun. I don't know if there's a Hooters close to me anymore. I know the one in Long Beach either got taken down or closed or refurbished or reimagined. I guess I think their whole business model changed as far as the way they present their servers. So I'm not sure if Hooters would be ideal. But again, I haven't been to one in literally probably 3 years, so I don't know. But we can definitely meet up, Walter. I'd love to see you when you come back to California. Absolutely. Josh says, I know Greg is in a good mood after last night's win. Definitely good that Pittsburgh got back on track. But the fact that Aaron Rodgers is the current rumor next Steelers quarterback, like, it just seems wrong. It does. It seems very wrong to think of Aaron Rodgers in the black and gold. Very, very odd. Have I ever been in Northern California? What are my thoughts of it? Second Jeff Black asks. The furthest north I've been where I actually stopped prior to the summer was up in Hayward, California at a APW show. And to be fair to the APW crowd, I was coming in as part of the heel contingent and I had full on LA Kings gear on. So I got treated pretty shitty. But again, rightfully so. I did venture into the San Francisco Bay Area this summer with my son and his mother. We were on like a Six Flags cross country tour thing. And we went up to Discovery Kingdom, beautiful theme park. Beautiful layout, beautiful city. San Francisco's gorgeous. I got to go see the Cow Palace. That was awesome. A lot of wrestling history there. I got to go inside the Cow Palace, like in the bowels of the building, and see all the behind the scenes stuff. That was really neat. Virtue put up recently, I think it was yesterday, he put up the video of Elvis toward the end of his life. One of his last performances, Elvis was in that building, and I got to touch the wall where Elvis signed. It was very, very empowering. It was very powerful to be in that moment, to have like Elvis was there and Pat Patterson and Ray Stevens were there. It was just a very cool moment to be part of all that history, and think of, Hogan wrestled Piper there, and, the WCW guys went there all the time, and the old WWF days and the old NWA days. It was a huge building for wrestling. So very, very awesome to be a part of that. Good questions, like thank you. My thoughts on NorCal overall. I mean, I'm a SoCal boy, so I'm going to be bitchy about it, but for the most part, I enjoy it up there. Joey says, I went to the Rams game yesterday, and SoFi is big. Big site in my first. I hope WrestleMania 39 get good booking for that. Yeah, I don't think I put that picture up. I meant to. I took a picture as we were flying home from the cruise at the end of October. We were flying back from Miami. We were passing over the stadium as we headed for LAX. That stadium is freaking huge. It is a monster there in the middle of friggin' Inglewood. It stands out like a sore thumb, but it doesn't look sore. It looks effing fantastic from even high above. I'll just put that picture up tomorrow on social media or during Stat Boy Sports Bar. It's going to be fun to go in there for WrestleMania. I'd like to go in there before, maybe see a football game, but I'm okay with waiting until Mania in a year and a half. That'd be cool either way. Josh, I think I got to agree with Sean Ross. War Games didn't feel like a takeover. The War Games matches were great, but the others just felt okay. I'm going to agree with that, actually. Aaron said that too last night. The War Games matches, even though they're not War Games in the most traditional sense, because there's not a roof on the cage and there's pinfalls allowed, the War Games matches tend to deliver in NXT shows, but overall the rest of the show, yeah, very much felt like weekly NXT TV. So I was like, I'll agree with that. Let's just see Austin Aries automatically. Right. Yeah, I not a fan of Aries. Made that clear more than once. He and I never really got along over the years working in the same companies. JJ says Jazz was very much overshadowed by Trish during her run. Love Trish, but it's a shame. Actually, Jay, it's funny. I think I haven't mentioned this to you in our conversation since I got off the boat. We talked about Trish a lot. She loves Trish. She adores Trish, and vice versa. Jazz realizes that's not Trish's fault, and Jazz realizes that that's where the money was at WWE. Jazz was the proverbial means to an end to get Trish over, but Jazz did point out, not only last Saturday at Hard Times, but on the cruise when she did her appearance in the women's Evolution panel, she is the first, and I think only, no, because Sasha would have been too. She is the first African American women's world champion to walk into a WrestleMania as champion and walk out as champion. She was definitely the first. I know Sasha walked in as champion and then Bianca left as champion, so that's a little bit of a different dynamic. But Jazz was the first. She was the trendsetter. Jackie didn't do it before her. Nobody did it before Jazz. Jazz walked into Toronto and beat both Lita and Trish. So she walked in and walked out as champion. Jazz is a trailblazer. She's a trendsetter. That's why she is in the same category, in my opinion, as Deuce. Deuce, of course, who was also there at NWA Hard Times as a producer. They both definitely got their due on the cruise. The two of them were talking in a panel with Chris Jericho, and Britt Baker was there also. So, and cool little panel. If I don't know if Chris has put that up yet, I'd love to see it. If it's on Talk is Jericho, I'd love to hear it back because it was a great panel. I think Jericho said he mentioned it's going to be coming soon. I was part of that crowd. It was the only actual panel that Jericho did besides the cruise did besides the comedy thing with Cabana that I made it a point to go sit down because I wanted to hear those stories. It was very, very awesome to hear that. All right, I'm gonna take a break. I need a swig of water. My voice is hurting like bad. We will be right back after this word from our buddies over at Paradise Kitty.
Take me down to the Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. Whoa, we shine a light. Yeah, they're loaded like a freight train, flying like an aeroplane. Speeding like a space brain one more time tonight. Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. Welcome to the jungle. I just bring you to your knees. Take me down to the Paradise City where the grass is green and the girls are pretty. Oh, won't you please take me home? I wanna go. I wanna go. Oh, won't you please take me home, baby?
And there you see it. Our girls will be up at Vamped. Of course, that's Danny's Club, The Count from Count's Customs. A week from Friday, actually, up in Vegas at 10 p.m. Tickets have been available at vampedvegas.com. They're over on Sahara, of course, on the Strip. It might be off the Strip a little bit, and then they're back here the 22nd. And there's a rumor, confirmed fact actually, Santa Claus will be at the show on December 22nd at the infamous Whiskey A Go-Go on Sunset Boulevard in the heart of Hollywood. So check out the kitties if they come prowling to your town. All right. So in the vein of powerful women, in the vein of women who are dominating their field, let's talk about Charlotte. I cut the promo last night during War Games, so I made it a point. I took a note. They made it very clear that she is a 14-time world champion as of last night, including the reign she's in right now. I'm not sure exactly how they're doing that math. And I know people are going to be, Charlotte praising, whatever. I'm not going to 100% praise, so just bear with me here for a minute. So, counting her 2 NXT championship reigns and the carryover reigns as separate as WWE does, she's actually held a world championship 15 times. Now, if you take out the 2 NXTs, she's a 13 according to WWE's official keeping records. But if you look, the the Divas Championship reign, carried over into the first Women's Championship, which of course the WrestleMania back in Dallas, and that eventually became the Raw Women's Championship. So I'm not 100% sure why WWE can't seem to keep their records together. I personally would be all over this if I was WWE. The fact that if you count the 2 NXT championships, she is one short of tying her dad and John. Let's not, forget about John Cena, the 66-time champion, in a short amount of time. I wonder if they're ignoring it on purpose because of the supreme backlash against Trish right now, which again, it wouldn't surprise me if that was the case. But if you're gonna muddle the numbers, if you're gonna F with the numbers, do it right. Like, okay, you don't get NXT, fine, she's 13. Don't say 14, because where's that Phantom 14th exactly? Where does that go? Right? So anyway, I just wanted to bring that up real quick, and I know that seems kind of silly to bring up between all the other stuff going on right now. So anyway, Psycho Jet Black, I'm gonna go into we're going to get into Ask Meach Anything mode. Do I have a graphic for that? I don't think I have that up here anymore. I don't. Okay. We'll just go ahead and go for it. It's okay. There it is. Have you ever been to Buffalo Wild Wings? They have great chicken wings. I've actually been there several times. There's one, if we get a good headwind down the hill, maybe about 5 minutes away. More like 2. The Buffalo Wild Wings here in our area is actually where the old Blockbuster video store used to be. My very first job I ever had back in 2000 when I was a senior in high school. I worked on that where that lot is now, where it's Buffalo Wild Wings now. I love their food. It's not good for me, but I love it. I'm actually fond of their Buffalo Mac. I just don't like the Buffalo sauce. I can't do spicy. It's very hot. So I just get it in a Buffalo. They have a good variety of food. I know a few people I know have either managed a store or worked in or managed a restaurant or worked in one. Don't hear a lot of good things about that as far as the inside stuff, but their menu's cool. So I think I just knocked my thing loose. If you guys lose me on audio, let me know, because I think I bumped it by mistake. We're talking about Hooters before the break. Jesus, there's still a Hooters by Ontario Mills. If there was, I didn't see it this weekend. So there you go. People who know me know I love Jeff Hardy. I'm hoping what happened over the weekend was just he was sick or hurt. Please, no relapse. Would be better if this was a story to get off TV and come back as well. They were talking about that over the last day or so, Walter. If it's a story, I don't like it because it makes it seem like it's not. They're actually treating it like a real thing. That's a bad way to bait and switch for my money. But again, I don't run the territory. I just watch it, and as a fan, I try so hard to just be a fan. It's hard. It's hard to be a fan. JJ talked about this a lot on the phone today when he called me. It's very hard to be a fan of WWE right now. The Raw product is awful. The NXT product is changing, not necessarily for the good at all fronts. Like I said, I like last night's show, but not everybody's cup of tea. Well, I like SmackDown for the most part. Some of it's kind of cringe, but so it's hard to be a WWE fan, but it's very, very almost rewarding to be a wrestling fan overall, because there's a lot of variety again, which is nice after 20 years of just having one thing to really consume on a consistent basis. Josh says, last night was so bittersweet. The 2.0 team was made to look great, but there was no way they should have realistically won. Yes, I selected them in the Nerdy Q predictions, but dang, it hurt. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's funny. Like when I went into Hayward, Hayward's just right outside of San Jose, Joey. So I knew where I was going. I know. I mean, I brought. You remember, this is pre-Cup. This is 2007, so we were still horrible. We were a horrible team back then. So wearing my old, King stuff, a jersey, and the trench coat my grandmother had bought me a couple Christmases before, between the stuff thrown at me as far as food and the blood out of Gary's forehead from getting banged in the head with a championship belt, it was a very very visceral experience. Not visceral, not the right word. Very I can't think of the word right now. What that word I'm looking for. Anyway, tangible? No, that's not it either. Anyway, definitely a weird experience. I'll say that for sure. NXT hot takes. Josh says, and Survivor Series 2019 was the beginning. I saw you comment on that earlier. I'll go ahead and throw it up there. Was the end of the black and gold NXT because they overshadowed both Raw and SmackDown all their matches because Vince is pit. Again, I'm not going to rag on the old man. I try very hard not to do that. And he says he might do an article for Dirty Q. That'd be great. Throw it up there. Throw it up there, Aaron. He'd love that. They only count her second NXT Women's title reign, I think, which is stupid. It's the same. It's literally the same championship as far as lineage. That's dumb. Anyway, going back up here. I was at NXT War Games 2018 and Survivor Series. I wish they'd had NXT be involved there. It would have been even a better show than it already was. But I don't know if the triple threat scenario really condemned them to their fate, as it were, at this point. I mean, it's been 2 years. I honestly just think it was a matter of Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard taking over the reins and not completely isolating Triple H out, but yeah, that's what it's come down to. They have new booking, they have new people in charge, and it's a wait and see process at this point. It's still very new. We are very quick to condemn anything that has a McMahon handprint on it, but I'm still willing to give it the benefit of the doubt, at least for right now. We've got a brand new year starting. I've got a new year starting for my channel in 26 days. So new year, new day, right? Let's see. Walter says Charlotte plays her character so well, got to give her credit, whether you love her or hate her, you're talking about her. Exactly. It's much like Rec back in the day. You love him or hate him, his name's on your lips. And Josh says because Vince is bipolar. Okay. We got to stop ragging on Vince. I try very hard to keep that going. Yes, Blockbuster Video, Jay. Yes, that's how old we are, you and I. Josh says Drew's NXT title reign was when WWE started counting NXT championships, world titles, but WWE has gone back and forth on title reigns before the counts world title reigns. Right now, it's back to no. And again, their wishy-washy record keeping is what drives me so bonkers. I feel that if it's a world title because of the qualification, okay, so, and again, this is going back before a lot of you were born, so bear with me here. Back in my day, when Pro Wrestling Illustrated, the kayfabe magazine, was the standard of who gets world title recognition, who doesn't, you had to be defended globally. You had to be have a national or global television platform, and and those are the two major qualifications. NXT has had national and global television since the network launched in 2014. So any champion after that really should be designated. And even if you go by defended globally, the following year, Finn won the championship in Japan. So I don't see where it doesn't qualify at all for my money. Psychojet Buck says, do you know why Mike Graham hated Jeff Jarrett? Because he's the guy who said Jeff Jarrett broke 1,000 guitars and never drew a dime. I tend to lay off of the subject of Mike Graham, and I only say that because he has been proven, at least in recent years, and with hindsight being an ally, to being a hypocrite or a flat-out liar. He tried to claim that he was responsible for Hogan coming to WCW, and he wasn't. He hated Hogan. He didn't want Hogan in the business. Matter of fact, he set up, he constantly put Terry Bollea off of talking to anybody associated with FCW back then. And it wasn't FCW, it's University of Florida, but I'm using the abbreviation to speed up the process here. I know you guys don't want to listen to me talk all friggin' night. And then made it the point to make sure Batsuda broke his leg, Hogan's leg, at the first day in. So Mike's a hypocrite, or he was. He went the same route as his dad. It's a horrible way to just make it. It's a horrible thing to make a decision to take your own life. It's a horrible, horrible mindset, and I don't wish it on anybody. I really don't. But every time I see Mike Graham in that Rise of All WCW, I shudder my spine was just like, oh, you're such a lying shit. Because he did. He's one of those guys like Greg Gagne, one of those guys like Eric Watts, who wouldn't have been anything in professional wrestling if it hadn't been for their daddy being the guy in charge. So, yeah, there you go. There's my hot take. Sorry if it offends somebody. If you really want to get NXT 2.0 over what happened, here's a concept. Have an NXT person win the Royal Rumble and challenge for the NXT Championship at WrestleMania. Instant Elevation will happen. Something different. Again, it's kind of rough, Walter. You might clean it up for me. I can read it better. Sorry, brother. I don't mean to stumble over it. Josh says, I think the final determination will be if the NXT and NXT Women's titles are still options for the Rumble winners next month, because they didn't advertise that as much this year except for Edge. Please, your Lord, let us get Edge versus Balor someday before it retires. Yes, Edge and Balor would be awesome. I would love that. All right. Gonna do another break here real quick. It's a short one, I promise. Just a little over 30 seconds, but I do want to keep the plug going because she's getting a lot of hits on. I want to make sure I give her the love. We'll be right back.
Somebody turn on the lights. I'm slaying monsters tonight. Go get out of my sight. Oh, 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 go hide under your bed. No shadows in my head. I'm slaying monsters tonight. Oh,
oh, oh. There you go. Our buddy Ariel, Jenna calls her a little pocket rocket. I think that's a great nickname. Do I have that ad in here still? I don't think I do. I don't. Sorry, Ariel. But yeah, definitely check out her website and everything. She's great. I love her to pieces. So much fun to get to know her and, be buddies with her along with the rest of the kiddies. Josh says, thoughts on Undertaker taking Flair out of his Mount Rushmore? Sorry, Josh. You get trumped here because JJ says down the song. It is. It's a great friggin' song. Love it. Anyway, Josh says, ask me anything. Thoughts on Undertaker taking Flair as Mount Rushmore? Do you think it's because of the current Flair controversy? Because Taker has always had so much respect for Flair. Okay. This kind of ties into today's Meach mindset, and I'm going to try to steer as best I can. Social media is just a mess. There's no nice way to say it. Social media is garbage. The entire social media platform, people's personas or people's whatever on social media is just ridiculous. It's a mess. No, you're good. You're good, Josh. You're good. You're fine. People just see social media now as a way to be just venomous to fellow humans and just expunge nothing but negativity and put out all kinds of bad vibes and everything. And I'm guilty of it. I'm not going to lie. I think that's terrible. And I think that needs to be definitely addressed and worked as far as what people are allowed or aren't allowed to say or do. I know it's your own social media. You have freedom of expression, and that's great. But people continually cut people down, and it's okay. People don't have a right to their opinion anymore, be it good or bad. Because if you have an opinion, you're automatically wrong, because an opinion is just that. It's your own feelings, your own thoughts, your own beliefs, your own whatever. It is you. Opinion is you. It's not a factual statement. It is your thoughts on that statement or a thought on whatever. And it's really feeling like to me lately that social media has become a breeding ground for people to just be dickheads. So I tend not to really go off what I read on social media or what I hear on social media anymore, because the opinions change daily. And I've said from the beginning, opinions are like assholes. Everybody's got one, and they usually stink. So that's my 2 cents on it. As far as Undertaker taking Flair, again, Mark says that now. You can't, for my money, and again, this is, again, my opinion, you can't have a Mount Rushmore of the greatest professional wrestler slash wrestling personalities of all time and not have Ric Flair. If he's not in the top 4, he's like 4A or on the bubble of right there being on that mountaintop. That again, that's just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth, but let's see here. Walter said if they really want to get NXT 2.0 over, here's a concept. Have an NXT person win the Rumble and challenge for that championship at WrestleMania would be instant elevation, but I know it won't happen. Thank you for clearing it up, Walter. I appreciate it. Yes, I agree. It would be nice if it happened, and it very well may. Again, everybody seems to just want to be like, oh, never going to happen. Negative, Ninny. Let it play out, folks. TJS said it best a few months ago on the review. Let things play out. Let's see how it works. Let's see how January goes. See how the 29th plays out. Let's see what happens at the Rumble. Maybe we'll get our wish. You just don't know until you see it through. Let's see here. Joey says, I know I had a family from Miami. Stop using Facebook. Yeah, Facebook is nowhere near, for me anyway, as toxic as Twitter, but it's up there. It's awful. Awful. JJ says, social media has become a toxic breeding ground for keyboard warriors, period. Yep. And JJ suggests, as far as the Rumble, Braun Breaker would be great. We've talked about this ad nauseum on the channel. Aaron is majorly high on Braun Breaker. At least I think he is. He may just be kayfabing for the Steiner thing. I don't know. But I don't even know if the Rumble is too far off of his debut for that. But again, he could prove me wrong in the next, few weeks. So hopefully we'll see how that plays out. Let's see. Pete Dunne would be a great one, honestly. All right, Second Jet Black, I got your one question up here. Where was that? Better tag team, Strike Force or American Males? With all due respect to my buddy Mark and to Scott Riggs, who I know at least was at one point a friend of Rob's. I don't know if he still is or not. I haven't talked to Scott Riggs in forever. I got to go with Martel and Santana. They were a great tag team. They could have been great had they been together longer. He also says, is it true that you or a friend of yours almost got run over by a wrestler in a parking lot back in the day? I don't recall that. Not that I know of. You may have to PM me on that one, so I got to back. I don't PM. Wow, how do I sound? Direct message me some way. I don't remember that happening. Again, that's my memory being what it is 20 years after a pair of major concussions and some other head trauma. So I don't remember that being a thing. But we can talk about it. I don't recall that happening. All right, guys, it is almost 12:30 for you East Coast folks, so I'm gonna go ahead and wind it down. Again, we got a lot of great stuff coming up here in the next little bit. Staff by Sports Bar, of course, tomorrow, usual time slot now of 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 Pacific. Greg Cherry Show, Wednesday, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. Thursday, we're going to be back on the No DQ review. I won't be there, but Santa Claus will be. So make sure you tune in for the man with the bag, if you will. Let's see here what we got here. So Josh says too early for Braun Breaker, to be honest. I don't know. Maybe my full Mount Rushmore. But Taker is my number one. I mean, for goodness sakes, I did Greg's karaoke on Friday and sang his Druid's theme for it. Nice. Thank you. JJ's top Mount Rushmore is Bruno, Hogan, Flair, and Taker. That's a great one. Walters is Flair, Austin, Michaels, Undertaker. And then Rock is right there too, but can only count 4. Sorry, Rock. Right, exactly. All right. So that's Thursday No DQ review. Friday, as part of Dad's December here on the Jeff Meacham Network. Let me go ahead and get rid of that. There we go. We'll be doing our top 10 NWA World Champions of all time. Again, there have been many. So like the other day where we had the Edge matches and matches, the rest are all honorable mentions. They've been great champions. But we have our 10 list of 10. So we'll see how it plays out. Go watch the Greg Cherry Show. I agree with this man and his statement. Definitely check out the Greg Cherry Show this Wednesday. Apparently it's going to be an awesome open. He hasn't even told me what's happening. I'm the co-producer, so now I'm scared. Of course, Saturday we're off, taking the day off, and then Sunday we're back with the world premiere of Open Mic Night here on the Jeff Meacham Network and our affiliates, and that'll be shenanigans aplenty, even more so than Dad's, which is Quite a feat. Thank you all for watching. Have a great night. We will see you tomorrow on Snapboy Sports Bar and the rest of the week right here on the Jeff Meacham Network.